Hello. Hopefully, this time it sounds better. The last stream had some echoing issues, but this one shouldn't. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to install the latest video. One of the latest videos I created about the chat with multiple PDF documents. Some people had some issues installing it, so we're going to install it together. While I was installing, I noticed some issues, one of which that I had actually forgotten to mention the PyPDF and tick token, and also, but luckily, if you're running into issues, the terminal will remind you to do that. And then Chroma installation was giving errors as far as this hnswlib library is concerned. I was able to successfully install the latest version of ChromaDB, as you see. So these are all the dependencies just for ChromaDB. ChromaDB takes a moment to install. But some people were running into issues with HNSW. I wasn't able to replicate any of that. I hear you, CNC. Thank you. Let me know. I had some echoing issues in the last stream. Hopefully this time that's not the case. And then we're going to talk about the modify file. If you watch the video, we are importing the OpenAI embeddings from the modify file. So we're going to talk about that. And before we begin, I have created the EcoHive AI Academy. Just go to ecohive.live and you can search all the videos I've created instantly. You can click and watch, and also with code link downloads. So I had created a multi_PDF environment, and I tested this before ahead of the stream, and it worked, but I deactivated that by doing conda deactivate. So now we are back in the base environment. I do want to mention that I do use Miniconda for managing my virtual environments, and I do recommend it. This is what I use. It's just easy. So we're going to use Miniconda to manage our environment. So we are at the base environment. We're going to create a new environment by typing conda create -n, and then -n. We need to say -n before the name of the environment, and then we're going to say multi_PDF. Let's just say 2. Okay, and after that, we're going to specify a Python version. If you don't specify, I believe it will use your global Python installation. I usually like to select maybe 1 or 2 versions from behind, unless you need the absolute latest Python, because it can have some compatibility issues. So to install a new version of Python to this environment, all you have to do is just say Python equals 3.10. I have tested this. This works. So then you just click that. It's going to say yes, click that, and then it's going to do that. You just create the environment. After this, we can activate this environment by typing. See, it actually tells you how, but let's just type it out. Conda activate, and then the name of the environment. 2. Once you do that, now you're in your new environment. This is all fresh, right? And what we're gonna do is, because I've installed the ChromaDB separately, and that's why I got a snapshot. It successfully installs. If you do run into an issue with hnsw library, then I found this link. Somebody posted it in Discord. Not able to install hnswlib. It just essentially fails the build wheel. I'm going to put this in the link. Just read through it. Try to install different versions of ChromaDB. Probably try with different versions of Python. People say you need to have Microsoft Visual C++ installed. I believe Visual Studio Code takes care of it if you're using that right away. But there is also a way to install it with Conda somewhere here. you can actually use Conda to install it. Yeah, see Conda install. So if you have mini Conda installed in your system, you can actually install any library with Conda as well. If pip fails, then try Conda. Okay, I just want to mention that. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to say pip install -r and then requirements.txt. This is going to install all of our requirements from this file, requirements.txt file. Okay, this is just going to take a moment. So again, I want to mention, right, this works on my system. So if you have so my system is pretty new. I actually reinstalled everything on it about like a month ago. So all I did was install Visual Studio Code, Python, and Miniconda on it. And this just works with me. As you see, all the packages are collected. But most of the time, people were running into installing hnswlib, and this is when installing ChromaDB. But we're going to be able to install ChromaDB without an issue, I believe. If you do, like I said, I'm going to post this link in the description. You should take a look at that. So while this is happening, let's talk about the whole modify.py file and why are we importing OpenAI embeddings from that. If you try to run, normally you would import it like this. We are using LangChain. So you would just import it from langchain.embeddings.openai. Okay. When you do that and try to run this code and also previous code that I had summarize and chat with PDF, I kept getting end of prompt token error, and there's just nothing I could do to fix it. And essentially what I found is that, see, so what is this file, right? When you're doing imports, you can actually do control, and when you come over your imports, these are actual files. So if I click on OpenAI, so this is the file we are importing OpenAI embeddings from. Okay, so it's quite the file. Right here, see where there's a method. This thing has a class, I believe. Well, anyway, there's a bunch of functions or methods. I say it has a class called OpenAI embeddings, and under it there are some methods, and this method, get lens safe embeddings, just doesn't run the way it is. And what you need to do is you need to do something that's called some lines of code that is going to do special allowed. Like just take a look at, we are importing tick token and then tokens and indices. Just remember that, and then encoding with tick token. Okay. Now, if you go to modify.py file, see, we are importing tick token, tokens, indices. All that is fine, except we do, see, disable the check for disallowed special tokens. So end of token is a special token, and we have to disallow it or something. And you just have to change this part, I believe. Okay, you can compare the files yourself. And so you modify this file, save it as modify.py, any name you like, and then you import OpenAI embeddings from that file. So that's how. That's the issue. That was the issue anyway. Once you do that, you no longer have that error. You no longer get that error. So that's that. And I have updated the requirements with PyPDF and tick token as well. So while this is installing, because this is going to take a few minutes, especially ChromaDB, maybe we can take a look at the meta prompt video I just posted. You might want to take a look at that. They're really cool. The meta prompt. Actually, this one is interesting. See, it's from this Noah Goodman's Substack blog post, meta prompt. Also, all these are linked in the video's description. There's a LangChain implementation. So I was looking at this LangChain implementation, and I was gonna do this, but then I realized it's using the old OpenAI like TextDaVinci 003 calls, if I'm not mistaken. But I wanted to use the chat model, so I actually implemented it from scratch. with vanilla OpenAI. So maybe we can just play with that while we are pip installing the requirements for the chat with multi-PDF, because this is going to take a moment. So as I was installing these, I got an idea. Like, let's say I'm just going to select some of the names of these libraries that we're installing, and let's just run the meta prompt agent and see what we can do with it in the meantime. So user instructions, let's just say explain these libraries to me. Let's just say that. See, the cool thing about this is I just discovered this while making the video. If you pay attention here, you can, where is it? See, you can actually input multi-line inputs through your terminal. You know, like that regular input only accepts one line at a time. If you want multi-lines, you kind of have to have some kind of loop. And so then after that, you can enter as many lines of input as you like. That's great. To end it, you have like some secret word that you have defined. Then you say done and enter, right? So this is how you actually do multi-line inputs in the terminal. So if you've given it these libraries, we said explain these libraries to me. And then the meta prompt is consisting of two loops, one main loop, meta loop, and then one inner loop where we interact with the agent and give feedback and eventually get a system prompt for this purpose. Let's see if we are still pip installing. We are using GPT-4, so it's pretty slow. You can use GPT 3.5, but as it was mentioned in the article itself, somewhere, that the person had trouble getting it to follow instructions with GPT 3.5. It says it somewhere over here. Yeah, see, the same system using GPT 3.5 did not perform well. So if you're going to use this, I guess I suggest to use it with GPT 4. But then it's pretty slow right now. Anyway, we are still pip installing. Just want to mention to new people who joined us, we are looking at how to install the Talk with Multiple PDF, because some people had some issues. But I've updated it because we also needed PyPDF and Tick Token. Honestly, I just had it running. But some people were running into issues again with this, one of the libraries, the hnswlib library. And I have found a link which clarifies it. Actually, somebody in Discord posted it. This one, not being able to install hnsw. So take a look at this. It essentially suggests either using conda instead of pip install. You can take a look at that. Okay, here we go. We got a response. Great. It explains, so we're not going to read it, but then now we can give it a feedback. We can say return this information as a JSON object. And now see, we are doing multi-line, so we do have to say done. So now this is our first feedback. So our first instruction was given it some libraries, explain these libraries to me. We got a response. Our current system message is none, but we have given it a feedback. So we're going to do this total of 3 steps. And after those interactions, GPT-4 is going to return us supposedly, hopefully, an appropriate system message. So this is still installing. This takes a moment. And I do want to mention the PDF version do have a little bit of a hiccup when you're trying to select the created multi-PDF index. It gives a index out of range error. But when you do it on the fly, it doesn't have a problem with that. So you can still talk with multi-PDFs with this. I'm still going to look into that issue. I'll update it when that's done. Let's see if I get a response. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, we did. See, assistant, watchdog. You are okay. This is perfect. So as a second step, let's say also add some keywords. Let's say keywords to the JSON related to the libraries. Let's just do that. This is just to give it some more feedback. We do have to say done with multi-line input. This is still installing. Yeah, and don't forget to check out the Echo Hive app. I'm actually going to make a video on how I created this too, because this entire website is generated from a CSV file. Actually, it's pretty cool. So you can, it's like real-time search. So there were a lot of technical hurdles to overcome. Like if I refresh this, for example, I just, if you pay attention to the scroll bar, it does infinite scroll. So that was a challenge. This was super. We are loading over 120 videos and their descriptions, whatnot. So this was really slow. So I had to find some solutions to make it this fast. And the search is instantaneous. Like as quickly as you type, you get responses. Like, you know, like even just with a 2 letters is enough to get a response. So it's pretty cool. It's echohive.live. Let's see if we get a response. We're still waiting on that. And we are waiting on all the pip installs. So, I mean, the important thing here is that if I cannot replicate an issue, I cannot speak directly to it. That's why thanks to the person from the Discord, you can always go to the issues section of your of the packages that you're trying to install. See if other people had these errors. Like if you go to issues, you can actually search the issues. You can browse through them. A lot of times, if you're having problems, other people are having similar problems. You can do Google search on it. But most importantly, as we talked, maybe create a new Conda environment. Maybe select a different Python version, you know. And another thing is to upgrade your pip and setup tools. If you do a quick Google search on it, how to upgrade pip and setup tools, you should say pip install upgrade and pip install setup tools. Sometimes these, so there are so many things you can try to do. Just don't give up. Let's see. Okay, so we did get it, and everything looks good. See, look, we are getting keywords as a JSON object and whatnot. Let's just say this is great. Okay, and then let me delete this instructions, I believe, because eventually it writes these to the file, so it'll create a new file. So I'm just going to say this is great, and then say done, because we are doing multi-line input. And while we're seeing what happens with the meta prompt, oh, okay, see, it said, I'm glad you found information helpful. So now we are actually going to the next part where the meta prompt kicks in, and yep, see, this prompt kicked in, made another call to GPT-4, fit the meta response. Meta response returns. Critique and instructions, I think we lost it here. Terminal sometimes erases, but essentially, this was its instruction. This was the system message it created. Provide explanations of requested Python libraries and JSON formatted summaries with keywords if requested. So this is pretty cool. You can continue the episode, but we are here to talk about how to do the deal with the pip installing of the libraries. We were just waiting on this to be completed. So in effect, this should work. So now we can actually run this. We have installed everything. We can run this streamlit run pdf st.py. Yeah, this should be it. Let's run it. So here we go. It works. We can choose like NVIDIA annual report, loading the index, like how much did NVIDIA make. Should put a button here too. So this works. I was trying to say this steps that I just showed you works for me and should work for most of you. Hopefully this will help alleviate some of the problems you're having. Yeah, NVIDIA made this much money. So the problem is, see, we have NVIDIA selected. We can actually add old man in the sea to it, and we are fine. See, it's working. We are querying both, and we can say, what was the name of the fisherman? And we should get an answer. So see, we are querying, is not given in the book. Sorry. Yeah, Santiago. So we are querying over both. The problem happens, which is still, if I were to select the combined document right away, then we get an index out of range error, list index out of range. So we're going to look into it. But if you do select them separately, then you can actually query over it. So that's pretty cool. So this is all really, this is, unless anybody have additional questions, and sorry, I keep botching these streaming related stuff, but I'm learning. Like I said, please check out the EcoHive AI Academy at ecohive.live. And I hope you found this video useful, and hope to see you in the next one. Take care.